Hello and welcome to this episode of Hospitality Talks. I am absolutely thrilled to have Clint Ghent, who is the COO of NQ64 with me. Clint, you might just want to introduce yourself and the business to anyone out there who hasn't had the pleasure of being in one of your bars yet.
Thanks, Katie. Great to be here with you today. NQ64 Arcade bars. We operate 11 arcade bars around the UK, from Scotland down to London, across to the southwest. We also operate another bar in Manchester called Dog Bowl, which is a bowling concept that our founders have operated for some time now.
Fantastic. Now, I obviously know your business quite well, and we spent quite a lot of time talking on the recent Propel trip to Vegas about NQ64. For the people out there that are watching, stroke listening to this, how did the idea come about? Because it's an amazing idea. I love the bars; they're great fun. But who came up with the idea and why?
So NQ64 was founded in 2019 by Andy Haygarth and Matt Robson, who operated a couple of bars in Manchester. So Black Dog Ballroom, Dog Bowl, and Andy had a site called 2022 as well. And the idea for NQ64 kind of came out of the need to fill a space, right? So Black Dog Ballroom had a function room in the back, about 1,800 square feet, that was maybe making a couple of grand a week on a good week. And the guys had been over to New York and had seen some of the US arcade bar formats, thought that there was a bit of a space for it in the UK, and thought they could probably do it in a way that was a little bit more kind of widely appreciated, a bit more appealing to kind of a broader demographic. And then Q64 was born. So February 2019, first site opened in the Northern Quarter, and was just an absolute phenomenon right from the outset. And you're talking about a really tiny space with one bar station. So quite quickly it was clear there was demand for it, and subsequently opened another two bars before the COVID lockdown hit. And yeah, since then we've just been going from strength to strength.
Now, the idea of competitive socializing is, that we know that from our own research that 39% of people, I believe it was this year, have been to a competitive socializing event, venue within the last year, and that's up 12% year on year, which is, that's humongous as a figure. But you guys don't really consider yourselves to be competitive socializing, do you? You're more about you're a bar with activities available on the side.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I think we probably bridged the gap between sort of your standard cocktail bar, classic cocktail bar, slightly higher energy late night sort of venue, and the sort of the world of competitive socializing, where I don't know, like from my perspective, they often tend to be sort of fixed time, fixed price activities. And as you said, we're all bar operators in this business. We've come at it from the perspective of trying to operate really fantastic bars with great service, amazing drinks, cool atmosphere, but we know people want more to do, right, on their sort of leisure and socializing occasions. So retro arcade games and consoles provide exactly that.
And we know who your customers are, because we've completed a piece of research for you last year. I think it was sort of looking at exactly that. But for people out there who maybe haven't been, is it the people I'm expecting that are going into your bars?
Who are you expecting? No, it's a super broad customer base. I guess the heart and soul of it is 25 to 35-year-old, but a really kind of even split in terms of demographic, male and female, and yeah, I guess atypically you might expect an arcade bar to be full of guys drinking hoppy IPAs, nerding out over their sort of experiences as a child. But
not me.
but the reality is, I think, so many people have got kind of nostalgic connections to retro gaming, and even if they haven't, they're dead easy to pick up and play. So it's super accessible.
It's making me think of my first Game Boy that I had when I was, about 11 or something. Imagine the difference now if you showed a kid these days what we started, or the Mega Drive. I had a Mega Drive as well. That was
well, if you're a Game Boy fan, and new site in the Northern Quarter in Manchester has got something super special, which I won't reveal, but you should get in there and have a look.
Well, as I said before we started recording, I am in Manchester in a few weeks, so I will definitely get down there. Right, so I want to talk a little bit about people. You've recently brought on a head of people, and I know from speaking to people who work for NQ64 what a great place it is to work. Tell us a little bit about what the evolution of your sort of your people function has been.
Well, I guess principally, well, I joined the business in January 2022, so just over 18 months ago. And one of the first things I was chatting to our two founders about was like, what are we all here for, right? Is there a greater mission, a greater purpose to this business? Are we all here to have a nice time? What's going on? And I think kind of like pretty uncomfortable conversation for the two of them. I think they'd be honest. But principally, when they realized they had something quite special with NQ64 and were able to open more, what they wanted it to be was a cool place for people to hang out and a great place for people to work. And we've all worked for good, bad, and indifferent employers in the hospitality industry in the past, and hospitality generally has a bit of a bad rap. And there is the reality of there's a lot of pretty crap jobs in hospitality out there. So we feel able just to try and make it as good a place to work as possible. So yeah, we've been working with Chantel for some time in a consultancy basis. She's going to be joining the business in October full time as our people director. And yeah, we're really looking at the entire employee experience, but really where it stems from is like, let's treat people as humans and look after them and make sure they feel valued in what they're doing. It's not too much more complicated than that, but layering in all the nice things that you can layer in to make that experience great is what we're trying to do. But we're still at the very start of the journey, really.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, you're a young business, so I mean, in a way, that's a great thing, because it means that you've got that, you've got the blank page to start with a little bit, really, because you haven't got that sort of historical issue with people that exists in quite a lot of, say, the pub companies, etc., where they are having to scratch something out before they start again, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So what are the nice things? What are the nice things about working for NQ64?
Well, I think the foundation point, actually, we'll go before the nice things. We'll talk a little bit about the foundation. And Matt and Andy made two brilliant decisions very early doors in the business, which are, I think, probably the two hardest things for bigger businesses to unwind, in that they recognize that the business is pretty profitable. And, like, we've got to be honest, that's what competitive socializing generally is, right? We've got a high margin product that we're selling. But decided to make sure that they use that to pay people really well and make sure people kind of were getting a good wage for the job they're doing. And also our trading hours made it really easy for us to implement a 4-day working week for our teams. So all of our site teams work a standard, a sort of a standard 4-day week. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's not. But probably 90% of our team, 90% of the time, are working 4 days. And that kind of sets the foundation of it's a pretty good job. And you've got to remember, we're still offsetting the fact that they're often finishing work at 3-4 in the morning because it's a late night operation. But the nice things tend to revolve around getting people together, and there's been a real sort of drive to do that at every opportunity. I love the fact that we've opened quite a lot of bars, and there was an early commitment to say, actually, every single opening, all of our GMs will attend every opening, and they'll get to bring a different person from their team along, and we'll take them for a night out in a different city and get to know them and all that kind of stuff. And we induct every member of the team that joins the business at our office in Manchester, and we show them a good bit of Manchester hospitality at the same time. And we've just introduced our first kind of perks package, which has got a few kind of, I guess, fundamentals in there, like green and ethical pensions, which is a nice thing, but also kind of gym memberships for everyone, which is not super revolutionary. But again, if you're working in a basement with no natural light and till early hours of the morning, I think it's quite a nice thing to have. And then we're also trying to focus on, there's obviously a huge well-being focus in the industry, but financial well-being is super important and seems to be the sort of the stem point of a lot of kind of stress and strain in sort of employees' lives. So we're working with Pay Captain, or our payroll provider, and we've just set up a savings incentive, right? We're trying to create a bit more financial resilience in our teams, So
Right.
we're basically giving people free money. If they save money, we're matching their savings for a set period of time, just to really try and encourage that kind of behavior in teams.
That's well, I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, as you say, a lot of stress does come from that having financial insecurity
Sure.
is very often, and it sounds to me like it's almost like you're helping them to help themselves. So that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you obviously you putting all this in place. It's, you know, it's fascinating to see the business evolve as I have watched it over the last couple of years. What's next? What's the future for NQ64?
Well, the sites are getting bigger and better. You know, we've not long opened our largest ever site in Shoreditch, just over 10,000 square feet, where we've introduced some food to the operation for the first time. So working with some awesome partners at Burgerism, who have set up their first kind of London outpost down with us there, which is going really well. Bristol, again, is another large format site for us. So the way the format's evolved in NQ64 has basically been larger, bigger, and wider selection of games, more seating, bookings has started to play a sort of a more important role in what we're doing. We've started out life as very much a kind of a walk-in experience. We will open a few more sites in the next couple of years, but we're also focused on developing other formats to work alongside NQ64. First of which will come to Manchester in the not too distant future after we move our original site.
Excellent. Well, you heard it here first. That's what's happening at NQ64. Clint, thank you so much for giving me your time on a Friday to just take me through the history of and future of NQ64. And I will see you, hopefully. Maybe we can arrange to meet in Manchester when I come up to have a look at the new venue.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Thanks, Clint.